بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا أما بعد. My brothers and sisters, Alhamdulillah, Bismillah ta'ala, we continue with our series on applied Seerah, on application of the Seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in our lives. I remind myself and you that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not question us about what happened. Allah will question us about what we did. In any situation, any circumstances in the world, Allah will not ask us what happened, because Allah knows what happened. Allah will ask us, what did you do? Now, if we are going to answer this question, what did I do, then we should have a template of saying what is the best that I could have done. So Allah did not leave us without that template. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us that template. And that template is the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So what is the best that I could have done? The best that I could have done is what Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam did. Now if my action follows that, then alhamdulillah, I am good, and if my action does not follow that, then there is a problem with that. Now, if you need a chair, you need a chair. Then it's good.
Karasi.
Now,
You want chair too?
Islam gives us rules, gives us templates of how to work. For example, people say, what are the principles of business in Islam? Now, Islam does not teach us principles of business as in how to make money, how to make more money, what is the debt equity ratio we should have, and so on and so forth. All that Islam does not. Islam teaches us the moral principles behind business. Now, in the time of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, to take it back to the Seerah again, as I mentioned to you, in my study of the Seerah, what I discovered, and it was a very interesting discovery, which is that the financial systems in Makkah were so exactly like the financial systems today that I say that if we were to bring people like Abu Sufyan radiallahu anhu, people like Al-Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib radiallahu anhu, people like Abu Lahab, who were the bankers. These were the big money people. If we were to bring them today to Wall Street, if we were to bring them today to the Federal Reserve, if we were to bring them today to any of the big banks in this country or any country, then they would not be surprised about any of the transactions that are happening there. They would be surprised, obviously, because they wouldn't have seen computers and stuff. But if you look at the actual financial instruments, did they have letters of credit? Yes, they had letters of credit. What do you do when you import something? You open an LC, right? What is an LC? As a letter of credit. Today you do that. That's exactly what they used to do in 7th century Makkah. They had letters of credit. Did they have long-term financing, lending money on interest on long-term? Yes. Did they have short-term financing? Yes. Did they have checks? Yes, they had checks. You could write a piece of paper here and I could go and encash that check in Syria, or I could go and encash it in Yemen. I got the money. Right? Practically every kind of financial transaction or instrument that we have today already existed in the 7th century in Makkah, and none of this was the invention of the Arabs. Let me tell you that also. They merely took the systems of the Romans. The Romans had these systems 500 years before that. These became a necessity. The reason why all this happened, the reason this happened is because money was gold and silver coins from the time of the Romans. They had the sesterce, and the Arabs had the dinar, they had the dirham, and so on. So money was gold and silver. Now, if you are transacting in gold and silver, and you are doing big business, and part of that business is, travel was all overland, so they had these caravans, And some of these caravans, I mean, this is what we don't understand because we don't study Seerah from this perspective. We think that Makkah was a small little village and a few camels. We are talking about, you're really seriously speaking, I'm a businessman myself, I teach business. You are talking about big business as we know it today. The only difference is in terms of the tools that are used today are different from those tools. That's the only difference. These people were people who were doing business in today's currency in worth billions of dollars. We're not talking about millions. We're talking about billions of dollars. So now if you have that kind of a business, you've got this caravan which has got, a couple of thousand camels, and you are transporting a couple of thousand tons of goods from Mecca all the way up to Damascus. Obviously, in that caravan, if you were carrying bags of gold and silver, then you were setting yourself up for as a prime target for every bandit on the scene. You couldn't do that. You simply could not do that because gold and silver. The good thing is that unlike paper currency, gold and silver is more stable. But the problem with gold and silver, two things. One is it is heavy, so it requires massive. If you're carrying $1 billion in gold, believe me, you can't carry it. I mean, somebody gives it to you, you have to die with it because there's no way you're going to carry it. So it is big and bulky and heavy and unwieldy. And secondly, it is cash. I mean, it is money. So you are open. So that is the reason why, right from the time of the Romans, they invented all these financial instruments to make it easy for themselves to do trade. So the actual money did not have to leave anywhere. The money in Rome stayed with the bankers in Rome, but they were doing trade in Greece and they were doing trade in Egypt and they were doing trade in Gaul, which was its current France and Germany, in Germania, which is Germany. They were doing trade in Britannia, which was called Britannia in those days, which is Britain. But they were sitting in Italy. Rome is in Italy. So you had the bankers sitting in Rome doing all this business using financial instruments. The Arabs merely took the same thing and they also used the same financial instruments. So if you're looking at the banking system of the Arabs, there was no difference. They lent out money on interest and they made money on all of that. Now Islam came and Islam did a couple of things. Firstly, Islam said that business must be morally defensible, if not upstanding. So Islam put a curb on the kind of business. Now, if you those of you who have read the Seerah, you must read. Say the Aisha Siddiqah radiallahu anha says that prostitution was a major business in Makkah. And she said that prostitution was so widespread and so accepted that if a prostitute got pregnant, then she just came out and she pointed a finger at somebody and said, "This man is my child's father," and the man accepted. What does that tell you about the number of people who were involved in prostitution? I mean, it was literally like saying, yeah, maybe she's right because I would have gone to her sometime. What kind of moral society or morality in that society do you think was there? Islam said no. Islam said, yes, you can do business. No, there is no limit on the amount of money you can make. You can make as much money as you want. But Islam will put a curb on the kind of business that you can do. So Islam said, no, none of this kind of stuff. No prostitution and trafficking, human trafficking, all of this stuff, not accepted. Second thing is, Islam said that there is not going to be any business in terms of alcohol. You cannot buy and sell because all addictive things were made haram in Islam. So you can't do no drug trade, no alcohol. And believe me, all of these are old businesses. I mean, drug trade, it wasn't invented today. Third thing, Islam said that interest itself, Islam made it haram. Any kind of interest-based transaction, whether it's a mortgage, whether it's a straightforward loan, whether it is any other kind of, if there is any interest involved, either giving or taking, Islam made it haram. And the principle that Islam made haram with regard to all of these things was that if something is prohibited, then that thing is prohibited in any amount, any quantity, and everything to do with it is also prohibited. Now, this is a very important principle of Islam to understand. Like people say, oh, but I'm only taking 1% interest. No, pork is prohibited. 1 gram of pork is prohibited, the whole pig is also prohibited. You can't say, well, I'm eating only one sausage or one rasher of bacon, or no. Prohibited means you cannot eat, not only that, anything to do with it. So you cannot have a pig farm, you can't have a slaughterhouse for pigs, you cannot be transporting pigs or pork products, you can't be buying them, you can't be selling them, you can't have it. You have a 7-Eleven and you've got pork products there, no, sorry, not acceptable. Everything, Islam closed all the doors leading to that thing which Islam called haram. So, for example, Islam prohibited prostitution. Islam said no illegal sexual intercourse. You want to have sex with a woman, you have to marry her. You don't want to marry her, you cannot have anything to do with her. So then Islam also prohibited everything else, meaning you cannot meet the woman alone by yourself. Whatever be the reason. If you are doing a business transaction in an office, so on and so forth, there are lots of people involved, you can work there is no problem. But alone by yourself, just you and the woman in one room, Islam said no. Even to the extent, if you are a sheikh, if you are a teacher, or you are a mufti, and this woman wants to come and meet you, and she says, I have this personal problem to tell you, I want to meet you alone, Islam said not possible. Not possible. They asked Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, they said, Ya Rasulullah, what if the woman is a pious woman? Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, even if it is Maryam, the mother of Isa alayhi salam, it is not prohibited. It is not permissible. Now, who is more pious than Maryam alayhi salam, the mother of Isa alayhi salam? Mary, the mother of Jesus, who is more pious than her? Nobody. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, even if it is she herself, you cannot be alone in a room with a woman who is not mahram to you. No matter whether she is pious or impious is not the issue. That is not permissible for you, whatever be the reason. So if you are a imam or something and some lady wants personal advice, then call your wife, let your wife also sit there, and then you can talk to the lady or tell her to come with her mahram. And if she cannot do that, then ask for the advice to be the question to be given to you in writing, and you can reply in writing. She can send you an email, she can send you a voicemail, whatever. But being physically alone together, Islam said not possible. Now you might say, well, this is like getting too tough with things, and after all, women are pious, I am pious. It's not as if anytime I meet a woman, immediately it has to go into sex. No, it's not a question of whether it will happen or not. The principle of Islam is, if something is prohibited, everything to do with it is also prohibited, and that is prohibited at every level. You cannot say zina is prohibited, but once in a year I will do it. No. Prohibited is prohibited. Khalas. So the same thing happened.
Case when I think the female doctor.
Yeah.
Sometimes for the consultation, there's a male patient. They have one room.
Yeah. Even there, they should keep the door open. If there is a female doctor and she has a consultation with a male person, ideally speaking, don't do that. Let a male doctor deal with that. But if there is no other way, then at least keep the door open. Don't have the door shut. Don't be alone in that sense. Right? Same thing. Second thing is that a business that profits at the cost of society is also haram. So, for example, businesses like tobacco, for example, cigarettes and gutka and all of this stuff, it is haram in Islam, because you are buying and selling stuff which is causing illness and evil to people. So, not acceptable, right? Similarly, whatever else might be, that's the reason why interest-based banking is so severely prohibited. Interest-based banking is the thing which is prohibited more severely than anything else. And that is because interest-based banking generates poverty, it creates poverty, it destroys wealth. So now when Islam came with this, the Quraysh got very upset because this was the fundamental business they had. So you go to a banker and say you can't take interest anymore, he's not going to be happy. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not only did Allah say you can't take interest, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said anyone who takes interest, we know the ayat of Surah Al-Baqarah, we'll come to that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, let him accept a declaration of war from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Now imagine if we are accepting a declaration of war from Allah and his Nabi alayhi salam, then what kind of life and conditions do we think we will have? Many times people ask this question, oh, but we are making dua. See the situation in Palestine, see the situation in this place and that place and that place. We are making dua every day. We are making dua in the haram and here and Ramadan and so on and so forth. But Allah does not accept our dua. My question is, you are asking your enemy or you are asking your friend? Who are you asking? You want to ask your enemy to help you? Which enemy helps you? Tell me. Do you know any enemy who helps you? So you have bought the enmity of Allah. You have bought the enmity of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then you want to make dua, oh Allah save me. Why will Allah save you? Allah declared war and you said, yes, I am accepting this declaration of war. And then you say, Allah save me. Why will Allah save you? You accept a declaration of war, so die. It is as simple as that. Now what shaitan comes and does, shaitan says, no, but after all, this whole system is different, the world is a different place, and so on and so forth. And if you don't deal in interest, how will you do business? My point is this. This whole story of shaitan is wrong. The world is not different. It was exactly the same kind of world that was there at the time of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The only difference is the size of that. At that time, it was one little town. Today, it is the whole world. The system has spread all over the world. In those days, it was restricted to that town and those places where it was. It was not a global system. Today, it is a global system. That's the only difference. The system is exactly the same. So, if Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam could do it, we can do it. Right? Now, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, see the principles that Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam promoted. In the hadith in Abu Dawud, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, whoever lets a person off in a transaction, Allah will relieve him of his distress on the day of resurrection. Now, what is the meaning of person lets a person off? For example, somebody comes to buy something and he agrees to buy it and so on and so forth. He gives you a deposit. Then he goes home and now he changes his mind. Right? So your deal was that, supposing he's buying your house. So the house is for $200,000. The deal is 10% deposit. So he gave you $20,000. He's supposed to come back the next day and he's supposed to give you another $190,000. Overnight, whatever the reason, he decides he doesn't want the house anymore. And your deal was that if he has given a deposit, if he changes his mind, if he does not come, the deposit is forfeit. That is the deal. You signed an agreement to that. You're saying, yes, this deal is gone. So the man comes and says, I'm sorry, I cannot buy the house and I don't want to buy the house. So, he won't even ask you back for his money. He will say, no problem, it's okay, keep the money. Rasulullah said, don't keep the money. Even if it was this deal, give it back to him. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will relieve you of your distress on the day of judgment. Now you might tell me, well, all this is fine, but who does it today? I'll tell you who does it today. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows me things which, I'm so grateful to Allah for. In 2000, which is 20 years ago, I was invited to do a series of lectures in Thailand, in Bangkok. So when I went there, I was taken to meet a business family, big business people, who were in the jewelry trade. So they used to manufacture jewelry. So gold and silver, diamonds, they're dealing with all kinds of precious stones and so on and so forth. Big business. And they lived in the father and I think 3 sons, if I'm not mistaken. They had a big compound, they lived in that, and then the factories were there and so on and so on. Now they told me a wonderful story. Somebody else told me the story about them. They said that this was soon after 9/11. This was in 2000. So, soon after 9/11. So they said that just before 9/11, they had a contract with a buyer in New York for, I think the contract was for 20 million or something. It's a big contract to manufacture jewelry. Now they said that in their trade, they take 10% advance. Because if you want to manufacture jewelry, now they are manufacturing it to the specifications of the buyer. So, retooling and getting the machines, this, that, sometimes it means some more tools. So they need them. So they said 10% advance. This person, their deal was signed, he sent a check for whatever it was, $200,000 or something was the 10% of that. So he sent the check for that. They had the check and they had everything was clear. Now, then 9/11 happened. Now, obviously, these people have nothing to do with 9/11. But for whatever reason, maybe sentiment, maybe whatever, that man cancelled the order. And he just cancelled the order. And he did not say, give back my money, nothing. He just cancelled the order. And they say in our trade, in the diamond trade, jewelry manufacture trade, they accept a norm, and also we have a contract signed there to say that if you cancel without a cause, then the advance that you have given is forfeit. That advance you will not get back. But to the buyer's intense surprise, the following week he gets his check back by DHL. So the man phoned them. He said, what is this? He said, what's the problem? He said, no, I've got my check back. He said, yes, we sent it to you. He said, why? He said, because you cancelled the order, we are not going to do your work, so we don't want your money. He said, but you would have incurred some expense. He said, okay, that's okay, no problem. You are actually not going to buy from us, so we don't want your money. We have returned them full money. They did not even deduct whatever little amount they may have used. It's full money they returned. So the man said, look, I can't even account for this because he said, I have paid you and I have, in my books, this transaction is gone. Now, how will I show this back? He said, look, that is your problem, right? You figure out how you're going to show it back and all that. We will not take your money when we have not done your work. The man said, I've never seen anything like this. This is not the norm in this business. This is our norm. This is our norm. We are Muslim, and this is how our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us to do business. This is how we do business. They said that the man then gave them a much bigger order, and they said that man does not buy from anyone else in the world except this family. Now, this is the barakah of doing business like Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us. Then Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whoever waits for one who is in financial difficulty to pay a debt or he waives it, Allah will shade him with his shade on the day of judgment. And this is in Sahih Muslim. Now think about it. Now, one is to say Allah will be pleased with him and so on. Allah will shade him with his own shade on the day of judgment. So the question to ask is, what is the value of this? And alhamdulillah, there are, people, mashallah, there are good people in this world. A friend of mine sent me a message, just last week he sent me a message on the same issue of having lent some money and so on, and I didn't get it back. And so I asked him, he said, please tell me what to do. So I told him, look, this is what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us. Right? Now tell me, how badly do you need the money? He said, alhamdulillah, I am it's not as if I will starve or something. It's not like that. But the money is owed to me. So I said, how about you do what Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said? Waive it. Tell the man, when you can pay me, pay me. If you can't pay me, forget it. I said, make istikhara if you think, and if you want to do that. He wrote back to me, he said, I have waived it. I told him, you don't have to pay me back. And he says, I am sleeping so nicely, I have never slept so peacefully in my life. These are the business, and think about this. The reason I'm saying this is because these are the business principles that Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam taught at a time when general conditions were completely opposite. General conditions there was that if somebody lent you money and you could not pay it back, then you became a slave of that person. Many times people bring this issue of, popularity, the issue of society and societal norms and so on and so forth. Yeah? I remember, I'm not sure how old this is, either Hassan Basri Rahmatullah alayhi or Ghazali Wallahu Alam. But he said, do not be concerned and do not be afraid of afraid that there are only a few people on the road leading to righteousness. It's a lonely road. He said, don't be afraid of that. And he said, don't be carried away by the other road, which is the road of misguidance, which is full of people. Don't go and join there because, I have company. No. Then Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, the two parties to a transaction have the option of cancelling it until they part. So if there is a transaction going on, even if you have agreed, you can still change your mind as long as you are there. If they are honest and disclose any defects, their transaction will be blessed. But if they lie and conceal defects, the blessing will be erased. See the fundamental principles. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is saying that one day Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam went into the market and there was people selling grain. So he put his hand inside a sack. So when he put his hand through the grain, he touched some water. So he said, what is this? The man said, Ya Rasulullah, that grain got wet, so I put it below and I put the dry grain on top of that. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, the one who does that is not from us. He said, if the grain got wet, you should put it on top. Let people know this is defective grain, it has got wet. Why are you hiding it? Why are you burying it under the dry grain? And when you are now giving the grain to people, they will get some wet and some dry. He said, the one who deceives is not from us. Just think about these words. What is the meaning when Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is saying, not from us? What does it mean? It means he's not a Muslim. No? What else does it mean? If Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, so and so is not from us, what is the meaning of that? It means the person is not a Muslim. And who is he talking about? He's not talking about somebody who, worshipped idols. He's saying somebody who deceived in a transaction. That's it. Islam places this huge amount of importance on honesty and integrity. And remember, entire countries came to Islam not because of big lectures and khutbahs and recitation of Quran and so on, only because of the honesty of transaction of Muslim traders. In my country, in India, Islam came to India in 4 Hijri. In the life of Rasulullah, when he was in Medina, traders came to a place called Kodangalur, which is near Cochin. There was a kingdom there, and the king, his name was Charanan Perumal. The kingdom and the dynasty was the Perumal dynasty and Kulashekara Perumal dynasty, and this man, his name was Charanan Perumal. So the story goes that Charanan Perumal saw this Mu'jiza of Shaqul Qamar. He saw the moon being divided. When it happened with the Mr. So he asked his astrologers and so on and so forth, what is this thing? So they said this has happened because of a prophet who has come in the land of the Arabs. Now there was, with India, there has been for several thousand years, there's been a trade with, especially with Oman, with the Omani Arabs, but also with others. So the Arabs and the land of the Arabs were familiar to them. It was not something which was new. They knew they used to trade there. There's basically spices and so on. They used to sell rice. They used to take and so on. So this was known to them. Then in 4 Hijri, some Sahaba came and they landed. These were business people. They were traders. So they came and they landed. So they were brought to the king. And Charan Perumal asked them. They explained. They presented Islam to him. He accepted Islam. Then they said, we want a place to build a mosque. So he gave them a place to build a mosque. That mosque is there till today. I will send you the photos of that with this, when you get this recording, I'll send you the photos also. That mosque I have prayed in that mosque. That mosque is there till today. I have prayed in that mosque. Now, when they built the mosque, and they were building in those days in Kerala, so they built it like the same architecture as the temple. They did, I mean, those days, all of these minars and domes and minarets you see, this is much later. This came from Iran. And the Mughals brought it to India. But the original design was like this, was an A-frame. They had this A-frame. They used to build temple like that. So they built the mosque like this. Now, after that, they needed a lamp. You need light in the, so what kind of a lamp? So they brought a lamp from their temple. That lamp is there till today. 1400-year-old lamp is there till today. You will be surprised to see the photos. And who are doing it? Hindus are doing it. So whole bunch of people accepted Islam, and even the ones who didn't accept Islam, they took these people, they kept them there, they built a mosque for them, they gave them this lamp and so on. So when these people went to trade in the market, they used to trade like this, like what we are saying here. Somebody comes, they do a deal, they say, no, forfeit. You like the thing, take it. You don't like it, don't take it. You want to return it, no problem. So the other traders, they said, look, this is not our business practice. Huh? So these Muslims, they said, no, we don't care what is your business practice. This is how we do business. They said, who taught you to do business? They said, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Entire countries became Muslim. Indonesia, Malaysia. All the Islam that spread in Southeast Asia, there was no war. There was no war. It's all spread by business people doing business, traders. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, in the 7th century, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told people, if someone buys something and brings it back and returns it, take it back. He said, when you are weighing, give a little more. I'll tell you another story of this. There is a family I know in Dubai. His father and 2 sons. And very religious, mashallah, very good family. And they have a system where every evening they sit together and they read one hadith. So one day they read this hadith. When Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, when you are weighing, give more. So the father said, this is the hadith, you should do this. So now the 2 sons, they are, all of them are adults, they are running the business. And this is a gold business. So they are buying and selling gold. So they started giving a bit more. If you are selling grain is something else. Giving a bit more when you are selling gold is something else, right? So at the end of 1 month, they accumulated several thousand dirham as loss, because now if somebody is buying 10 grams, maybe they are giving 11, whatever, even if it is 1 gram or 2 grams, they are giving more. So now the 2 sons, they thought, how to tell the father. Because the father's order, he said, we are giving you, doing it, but this is now showing up in the P&L account, in this thing is showing up as a loss. And you got a few thousand dirhams or whatever as a loss. So they went to him in that meeting, Talim meeting, they said to him, They said this thing is becoming very expensive for us. तो उर्दू बोलते थे, he said कि ये बड़ा कीमती हो गया है. It's become very expensive for us. So the father said, Nabi की बात इससे कीमती है. So the father said, what the Nabi said is more expensive, more valuable than this. Don't change it. Keep going. Now, what do you think happens to a business like that? It boomed. Because people love to buy from somewhere. If they are paying for 10 grams, they are getting 12 grams. Whoa, they are very happy. So, whatever they may have lost in terms of amount, they made up that and more in terms of volume. So, end of the day, no, not only no loss, but actually gain by following the advice of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah said, Inna Allah ya'muru bil adli wal ihsan. Adl is to give exactly what somebody paid for. Ihsan is to give more. Now think about this today. Today especially in this country, free upgrades, right? You buy for just now. My phone got upgraded just today. Huh? Free upgrades. You got discounts on purchases, right? You got loyalty programs. You have free returns. Free returns today is a standard practice. I mean, there's things like businesses like LL Bean. You buy something from LL Bean, you can go and return it 10 years later also. You can actually buy something, wear it for 10 years, go and give it back, and they give you the money. Or they give you credit to buy something else. So I can buy a jacket, I can go and return it and buy a new jacket. Now from your point of view, that would be highly dishonest. But from their point, they don't care. There's no problem. That's our policy. Take anything, come and return. There's no problem. When you return, they don't ask you questions and nothing. I bought it yesterday. I bring it back. No problem. Take it. Think about it. Why are they doing that? They are not fools. They are not doing that for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure. They are doing it because it just makes good business sense. People like upgrades. People like freebies. People like to have the freedom of mind to say, okay, I buy something, I can always return it. So they buy more. They know it makes good businesses. But think about that. Today we are 21st century. These are all principles that Rasulullah taught in the 7th century, all principles to do with business. The only difference is he said, do this and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be pleased with you. Huh? This is the beauty of Islam, which I tell you, I always keep thinking about that this is the only religion which helps us to live in this world in a beautiful way and gives you the akhirah, both. Islam does not say that to get Jannah you have to suffer in this world. No, live a beautiful life. Enjoy yourself. Live comfortably. But do that in the right way. That's all. Islam does not say be poor. No. There's nothing romantic about poverty. Have money, have power, have authority, have influence, because then you can do good to somebody. I mean, if you yourself are begging, what are you going to do? How can you help anybody else? You can't help anybody else. So make money. Become humongously rich, but in the right way. Not by lying and cheating, not by deceiving, not by doing things which are, and negatively affecting society. And Islam does not differentiate between Muslim and non-Muslim. No. A Muslim must not cause harm to anybody irrespective of their religion, caste, creed, sex, gender, nationality, color, tribe. No. They asked him, they say, Ya Rasulullah, who is a Muslim? Rasulullah said, is a hadith in Mustadrak. Nabi said, a Muslim is the one from whose tongue and whose hand everyone else is safe. And a Muslim is the one who is trusted with other people's honor and their property. Everybody. So anyone, if somebody thinks that, oh, but you know, the other person is not a Muslim, no, sorry. If you cause harm to somebody, Allah will punish you. Whether the other person was a Muslim or not Muslim makes no difference. There is no differentiation in Islam. Islam has one law for everyone. This is the beauty of Islam. So in this section on issue of money, final thing before we close in the next 2 minutes, the thing to do in terms of action planning is to say, what is it that I must change in the way I earn and where I spend? Because these are the two questions on the Day of Judgment. Where did you earn from and where did you spend? Right? That's Allah will not ask you how much. To close, let me give you a very quick example of what I mean. Imagine that this hall we are sitting in, imagine that this hall is filled with goods. And all the things in this hall, everything which is here, is yours. It is for you. Right? Imagine whatever you want in it. You want a fancy SUV, that is there. You want a boat, it is there. You want a plane, it is there. You name whatever, think of whatever it is. Right? Everything you want is in this hall, and it all is yours. So now this hall has two doors. It has one door on this corner and the other door on that corner. On this corner, the door, it is written haram. On that door on the other side, it's written halal. And this hall has glass walls, so you can look inside, you can see everything. So you are standing on this door, and these doors are automatic doors. So you stand in front of the door opens, right? Recognize your retina or whatever it is, door opens. So you are standing in front of this door which is marked haram, and the door is open. As you are about to step into the hall, right, your friend calls and says, look, don't enter from here. Go around, enter from that door on the right. It is the same place. You can see it is the same place. Everything is the same. Just don't enter from this door, but enter from that door. So what do you say? You say, no, but that door is shut. It's not open. So the man tells you that door also is an automatic door. That door also will open, but it needs you to go and stand in front of it because it will open only for you, right? Retina recognition, only when you stand in front of the door will open. It won't open for anyone else. You say no. First open the door, then I will come. Can it be done? Can't be done. Because the door will not open for anybody. The door will not open for anyone else. The door will open only for you because the door is programmed to recognize you and to open. If you stand in front, both the doors, this will open. If you stand in front of it, it will open. But what happens? If you come in through this door, whatever you take, the things are the same. I want you to understand this very clearly. The things are the same. Nothing is changing. If it is this iPad, it's the same iPad. If it is this cup of tea, it's the same cup of tea. Nothing has changed. But if you take it from this end, it is haram. It is fire in your belly. You are in Jahannam on the Day of Judgment. Exactly the same thing. You take it from that side, it is barakah in this dunya, and Allah will reward you on the Day of Judgment. No difference. Shaitan tells you, no, hold on. Don't worry about all this door. This door is open. Go take it. Who knows what will happen when you go there? What if that door doesn't open? This guy is telling you all this. Why should you want to believe him? Who is he talking about? Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He said, don't believe him. Believe me. That is the reason why on the Day of Judgment, when the people send lanat on shaitan, on Iblis, what will he say? Fala talumuni walumu anfusakum. He will say, don't send lanat on me, send lanat on yourself. I only told you, I didn't force you. So earning and spending are extremely, extremely important in Islam. They have a huge impact on society. They have a huge impact on you, yourself. They have a huge impact on our influence. They have a huge impact on what we can do in our life. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave so much of importance on this. So let us make this into our niyyah to say that look at our businesses, look at our lives and change them from right now. Make the niyyah straight away to say, I will remove every haram thing from my life and I will substitute it with halal. Even if it takes some time to do that, no problem. Make the niyyah straight away. It doesn't take time to make the niyyah straight away. And then make effort to try to change that. Because sometimes people are in jobs in commercial banks. Now that job itself is haram. You can't work in a commercial bank. Not permissible. But you say, no, if I resign now and go, what will happen to me? I have to try to get another. No problem. You get another job. But right now make the niyyah that I want to leave this job. I am going to leave this job. And as soon as you get another job, leave. Don't put a condition to say, no, I am getting $200,000 here. The other job I must get $250,000. Only then I will go. No. As long as you are getting a job which will feed you, leave. Because remember, if you don't do that, you are buying the enmity of Allah. So you decide, if you can live with that, if you can fight Allah and win, no problem. Then go ahead, do what you want. But if you think that being the enemy of Allah is not a good thing, it's in your hand, it's in my hands. Let us change our ways. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enable us to earn halal and to spend halal. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy for us. We ask Allah to fill your lives with barakah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to save you from all forms of evil, to save you from all calamities, all accidents, all illnesses. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be pleased with you and never to be displeased. وصلى الله على نبي الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا رب.